go on a college campus, my prayer is simple. God, use me for your will. Because I'm far more concerned in what God wants of my life than what I want of God. What God wants of me is a life fighting for truth. These were some of the final words spoken by Charlie Kirk. In the wake of his assassination, we've seen how his life has impacted millions of people, how it started a turning point in this nation. But now the responsibility falls to us. Will we let his death be just another tragedy, or will it be the turning point that this nation has been waiting for? I'd like to show you, through 3 turning points in history, it doesn't take an army, it doesn't take a kingdom, but it only takes one person to change everything. In World War II, Britain faced insurmountable odds. German armies swept across Europe, and it was in this darkest hour that Prime Minister Winston Churchill delivered a speech that was the first turning point in the war. We shall fight on the beaches. Winston Churchill, 1940. At the moment, French defenses at Sedan and on the Meuse were broken. Only a rapid retreat could have saved the British and French armies. Boulogne and Calais were scenes of desperate fighting. The Rifle Brigade, the 60th Rifles, the Queen Victoria's Rifles, aided by 1,000 Frenchmen, defended Calais to the last. Their sacrifice was not in vain. The German armies attacked from all sides. For days, fire rained down upon Dunkirk. Meanwhile, the Royal Air Force struck at the German bombers, a miracle of deliverance achieved by perfect valor and excellence. The Royal Navy carried 335,000 men under the jaws of death in shame. Nevertheless, this victory must not blind us from the fact that this was a colossal military disaster. We must expect another blow. If all in this country do their duty, we shall prove ourselves able to defend our island home and outlive the menace of tyranny. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the villages. We shall fight on the streets. We shall fight in the towns. We shall fight on the landing strips, and we will never surrender. For we will defend our island home, whatever the cost may be. One man, with one speech, united the Allies and changed the outcome of World War II. But this is far from an isolated case. In the 1960s, America was in the midst of a space race. The space race with Russia, where the United States was falling behind. And it was in this time of desperation that President John F. Kennedy delivered a speech before 40,000 people. It was the first turning point in the space race. We choose to go to the moon. John F. Kennedy, 1962. Despite the fact that most of the scientists the world has ever known are alive and working today, despite the fact that this nation's own scientific manpower doubles the rate more than 3 times our population as a whole, despite that, there are those who will never grasp how far and how fast we have come. If America's spacecraft succeed in reaching Venus, we will reach the stars before midnight tonight. This is a breathtaking pace. And so it does not surprise me that there are those who wish to stay where we are just a while longer. To wait. To rest. This country was not built by those who waited and rested. It was built by those who move forward, and so will space. The world now looks to the heavens, the planets, and the stars beyond. We in this nation have vowed not to see space governed by a hostile flag of tyranny, but by a banner of freedom and peace. We in this nation have vowed not to see space filled with weapons of mass destruction, but by instruments of knowledge and understanding. Yet we in this nation may only fulfill these vows if we in this country are first. And thus we intend to be. We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. A challenge we are willing to accept. One we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. Churchill, Kennedy, they showed us that through bold action, that turning points can get started. But you see, our nation today faces a different problem. It isn't enemies abroad, but it's fear at home. The Crisis of Courage. Charlie Kirk, 2021. And so I've realized that there's a crisis of courage in this country. The number one form of censorship isn't big tech censorship. It's self-censorship. You know, I understand what people say about you matters. Does it? You can be a lot of things. You can be tall, you can be handsome, you can be smart, but if you're not courageous, well, they're all very brittle. As Aristotle wrote, without courage, there is no other virtue. So what is courage? Well, courage is doing the right thing when the outcome is uncertain, when there's an unknown after the action, and so I've realized that this crisis of courage stems from the fact that we got a lot to lose. Money, jobs, family, status. I understand that these things matter. But does it matter more than pursuing the truth of excellence? You know, if so, so be it. I acknowledge that there's a cost to this. But fear is a tactic used by the enemy to silence the truth. If you succumb to that fear, you're suddenly playing into the greatest weapon used by the opposition. Do you know what gives me the most courage? What gives me the most courage is I know how true our message is. The gospel in 4 words, Jesus took my place. 3 words is him for me. 2 words is substitutionary atonement, and 1 word is grace. That's a grace you cannot earn. But that's grace that you have to have the courage to share. And listen, y'all, it starts with every single one of you. Churchill, Kennedy, and Kirk. They showed us that it doesn't take a kingdom. It doesn't take an army. But it only takes you. Because one person can change everything. And look, we're likely living in one of the greatest turning points that our nation will ever see. The responsibility is ours. And the time to act is now. So we have a choice. We have a choice to be like Churchill and to stand out to the enemy. We have a choice to be like Kennedy and shoot for the stars, whatever the odds may be. And we have a choice to be like Charlie Kirk and stand for the truth, whatever the cost may be. Because the enemy can take a lot from you. They can take your family, your money, your status, but they can't take your courage. Look, Charlie's gone. He isn't coming back. But the values that he left here can't be killed. That's the one thing the enemy can't take. Your courage. Thank you. Time was 9 minutes and 21 seconds.
Time is 9:21.
Right, that's 9:21. Thank y'all so much for judging.